Why does first love feel like fire under your skin? Because it is. Neuroscientists found that falling in love activates the same brain circuits as cocaine. Think about that. The pounding heart, the sleepless nights, the dizzy rush of holding someone's hand. It's not poetry alone, it's dopamine flooding your bloodstream. Plato wrote, "At the touch of love, everyone becomes a poet." But poetry is just the side effect. The real force is chemical, a storm hijacking your logic, pulling you deeper. Your first love wasn't just a story, it was biology disguised as destiny. And that's why, when it ended, it didn't just break your heart, it broke your nervous system.
What does heartbreak to the brain? Studies show rejection lights up the same regions as physical pain. Yes, your brain processes heartbreak like a burn. That's why first love's ending leaves scars deeper than words can name. You feel it in your chest, your stomach, your bones. Nietzsche once said, "Invisible threads are the strongest ties. When those threads snap, the body bleeds in silence." But here's the twist. Pain is proof of connection. Without the sting, there is no growth. Your heart breaks so it can rebuild stronger. First love feels like overdose because withdrawal is real, and withdrawal demands transformation.
Why do we never forget our first love? Because memory brands it like fire on skin. The amygdala, the brain's emotional vault, holds firsts like sacred scars. First kiss, first fight, first goodbye. Each becomes a frozen photograph that time cannot erase. Rumi wrote, "The wound is the place where the light enters you." That's why when years pass and you think you've healed, a song, a scent, a street corner, and suddenly you're back in the overdose. But memory isn't your enemy. It's the teacher that whispers, "This is where you began, but not where you end."
Why does first love feel eternal, even when it ends? Because eternity is an illusion the brain creates when it's high on oxytocin. That hormone, released in touch and trust, wires you to believe this is forever. Marcus Aurelius once said, "What we do now echoes in eternity." First love is that echo, loud, haunting, unforgettable. But here's the truth. Eternity was never real. It was the echo of a chemical storm. When the storm ends, the silence feels unbearable. Yet, in that silence, life invites you to build an eternity of your own. Not borrowed from hormones, but carved from wisdom. Why does first love feel like losing yourself? Because you did. In neuroscience, it's called self-expansion. Your identity fuses with another until you can't tell where you end and they begin. That's why separation feels like amputation. Jean-Paul Sartre once wrote, "Hell is other people, but heaven can be too." First love turns you into a mirror reflecting someone else's soul. The overdose is in the surrender. You dissolve, you disappear, and when it's gone, you look into the mirror and see a stranger. But slowly, painfully, you remember that stranger is you, waiting to be found again.
Why does first love change the way we love forever? Because it sets the blueprint. Psychologists call it an imprint. The rush, the chaos, the crash, your nervous system takes notes. This is love. This is danger. This is longing. Heraclitus once said, "No man ever steps in the same river twice. Neither does the heart." Every love after is filtered through the river of your first. You keep searching for the same high or running from the same pain. First love is the architect, but you are the builder, and every brick you lay after shapes whether love becomes your prison or your liberation.
Why do we chase the feeling even when it destroys us? Because the brain craves patterns, not peace. Dopamine is addictive. Your first high rewires your reward system whispering, "Find it again." Like moths to flame, we return to the fire that burned us. Kierkegaard said, "Life can only be understood backwards, but it must be lived forwards." The overdose teaches by repetition until you finally see. Love isn't about intoxication, it's about integration. The danger of first love is believing the high is the truth. The wisdom of healing is knowing the truth is what remains when the high is gone.
Why does first love feel like death when it ends? Because it is, a small death. Psychologists call it ego death. The person you were with them no longer exists without them. Camus once said, "In the midst of winter, I found there was within me an invincible summer. That summer is born in the ashes." Death is not the end, but the invitation to be reborn. The overdose strips you raw, shatters illusions, kills old versions of you. And when you rise again, trembling but alive, you discover something more dangerous and more beautiful than first love: the power to love yourself.
Why does healing from first love take so long? Because healing isn't about forgetting, it's about rewriting. The brain is plastic, yes, but slow. Each new love, each act of trust lays down new pathways over the old scars. It's not erasure, it's layering. Seneca once wrote, "Time heals what reason cannot, but time alone doesn't save you. Courage does. Choosing to risk again, to open again, to believe again." First love is unforgettable, but not unhealable. The overdose remains in memory, but healing transforms it from poison into wisdom. And wisdom, unlike first love, lasts forever.
What if your first love wasn't meant to be your forever, but your awakening? Every overdose is dangerous, yes, but it's also a threshold. Your first love didn't ruin you, it revealed you. It showed the depths you can feel, the fire you can carry, the heart you can break and still rebuild. As Khalil Gibran wrote, "Out of suffering have emerged the strongest souls." You are not broken, you are becoming. Don't numb yourself. Don't chase the old high. Don't drown in nostalgia. Rise with the wisdom first love gave you. Love again, deeper, truer, wiser. And now, you're ready to rise.